Welcome to the Something to Think About podcast, where we take a closer look at what the Bible says about common questions. I am Andre Palmer. Hello and welcome as we start a new series on looking at Jesus as the Good Shepherd and the whole idea of why you need spiritual leadership in your life overall. So we want to look on what does it mean to that Jesus when he says that I am the good shepherd. Like, what is that concept, what it means, and what does it mean for your life as an individual as you navigate this new year and this upcoming, what does it mean for your life going forward overall? And our core scripture comes from John 10 verse 11, where Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. So we want to look on the definition for this episode and next episodes and future episodes. We continue breaking that down and we'll take it from there. So to begin, the Bible uses this metaphor a lot in terms of a shepherd and a sheep. There's a lot of illustrations that was used to describe people as shepherd and sheep. So Jesus puts himself as the shepherd and his followers, persons who follow Jesus, as sheep. But to break it down, according to Psalms 80 verse 1, a shepherd, the Bible defines a shepherd as a leader of a group of people. And when you put it in that context, you can begin to understand and appreciate like the role that Jesus plays in our lives. And it says, open your ears, O shepherd of Israel, the one who leads the descendants of Joseph like sheep, the one who is enthroned over the angels. So it really puts Jesus in the context of a leader of a nation. So Israel is a nation, and the Psalms explain that, O shepherd who leads the descendants of Joseph. So it's the leader of a group of people. The shepherd of Israel is really showing that he is really the leader of the nation. So you can see the context in which Jesus placed himself and how he identifies himself, that he is really the leader of our lives. He's the one who is in front of us, who is leading us, and he's leading us to a particular direction. And when you think about it in terms of your life in general, he is leading you towards a place. And when Jesus explains himself as a good shepherd, he also talks about he's leading his sheep to the place of rest. So you can talk about the place of rest in terms of getting a good night's sleep. He will ensure that you have stability, leading you towards a place of stability, whether financially, relationally. Also lead you to a place where you can have rest mentally. He also mentions in Matthew where he talks about you can take his yoke and your burden would be light, because you will find rest for your souls. That is the whole context in which Jesus leads overall. When you put it in another broader context, when it comes on to his role as a leader of a nation, you can talk about Jesus being a political figure. Even though he didn't play a political role, he was always among political leaders. So he can provide political leadership, leading a nation towards economic stability and prosperity, like true prosperity. We're not talking about false prosperity, or we're not even talking about money. The Bible describes prosperity as being in good health and your soul prospering, meaning your emotions being in check, you being emotionally intelligent, knowing how to handle adversity, knowing how to navigate difficulty, knowing how to respond to conflict in an appropriate way, knowing how to deal with the impact that a negative situation or a challenge or adversity can have on you overall, and even giving you guidance as to how to really pull together through that storm or that difficult period, giving you a sense or a semblance of what life should be like at this point in time. Jesus's role also is very effective when it comes on to how to give you direction as to where your life should be headed. So if you're restarting or starting life back over from scratch, or even looking for something to focus your mind on for the rest of the year, like realistic goals that you can achieve, like the Good Shepherd can give you direction and to guide you towards what does those realistic goals look like. And that's what it really means when it comes on to the leader. He is the one that is leading the people. Like, for example, if you think about Joshua, Joshua was the one that led the people. He was the one in charge, giving orders and commands, setting in order the affairs of the nation when they were going into Canaan to occupy the promised lands. Like Joshua was the one that organized the army, gave the instruction to the people, and led them to victory in many battles with the help of the Lord. Like that's the role that you can put in the picture in terms of giving a direction, like where are we going? And knowing that you're following somebody that is leading you to the place where you should be and moving you from one end of the spectrum. Like maybe your life is disorganized at the moment, and the Good Shepherd will help you to get some semblance of control, like bit by bit will help you to navigate and put the pieces of the puzzle together where you can find stability and function as an individual. Because he said that he came that you might have life and have life abundantly. Abundant life, meaning that you're able to function. And that's where, like, he put your life in order. Like, that's what the leadership of the Good Shepherd brings. Another section, the last part of that same verse, Psalms 80, verse 1, he describes that he is enthroned above the angels. It's really now indicating like who that shepherd is and where he is located in terms of the level of authority that he has. So it puts him as a leader of a nation. So you're talking about he is the head of state. You think about the head of state like a king, a president. Prime Minister is not the head of state, he's the head of the government, so that's different. But he's the head like a president, a king, a monarch. If you can think about King Charles, that's the rank that Jesus has as a shepherd, that because he has a kingdom which is eternal. It's not a physical kingdom that you can see tangibly, but his kingdom is eternal, it's spiritual. So you would know that he is the King of Kings in terms of no matter who you think about, Jesus Christ is above that. So he's a global king. He's a Lord of the earth. So that's the role as a context in terms of, you can put him in the context of a head of state. That kind of it makes it easier to understand when you view Jesus as a head of state. So if you think about President Trump, for example, he's the incoming president in the US, but he is the head of the state. He is the head of the nation, the United States of America. But when you look on the whole idea that God is enthroned above the angels, is really looking in terms of where his rank is. Like, no matter what spirit or angel you can think of, Jesus is above that. And he is the one, he's the creator of the world. So his rank and authority that he carries is above everybody else. So that's where he should be placed in your life. He should be at the head of your life, like the one who is in control. So now we talk about he's a leader of a group of people. So it's not only one, it's a collective, because you're a part of a community or a kingdom that is not made by human hands. You're a part of a kingdom that is headed, who is maker and builder is God. He's the one who is leading. So he's a leader. And it also talks about his authority, that he's enthroned above everybody else. So he is the one who is in control, and it indicates his level of authority. So now we want to look on what another meaning in terms of, it also explains like his responsibility now, where Isaiah 40 verse 11 talks about the shepherd is the person who takes care of a group of people. So now we're talking about the responsibility, which is a leader, talking about the authority in terms of where he's placed. And now we're talking about the responsibility now, like, all right, then cool, what does the shepherd do? He takes care of the people, the sheep, which is you and I. So he's the one responsible for ensuring of our well-being. So what does that mean in terms of what does Isaiah says that can give us a clearer picture as to what does this mean? So it says, like a shepherd, he takes care of his flock, which is you and I. And here's a breakdown of it. He gathers the lambs in his arms. So the lambs are the young sheep. So he carries those lambs in his arms. He carries them in his arms. So there's a gathering process where the good shepherd gathers everybody together in a specific location. He carries them in his arms. And he also gently helps the sheep and their lamb. So you're talking about two categories of people. You're talking about lambs, which is the young persons, the babies, the children. So those are the one he gathers. He assembles them together. He carries them in his arms. So he knows that level of care that the shepherd takes in terms of who he in terms of the whole physical process of carrying them in his arms. If you think about a mother cuddling and holding a baby, that's the picture that we are getting from this description from the prophet about the shepherd itself. Also, it talks about gently helps the sheep and their lambs. So you're now talking about mothers and babies in terms of how he helps them along. But what does it mean for persons who may not fall into the bit category of that? The first line basically takes care of that. Like a shepherd, he takes care of his flock. So you're a part of the flock, and his responsibility is to take care of you. And that's what the shepherd is. Like, he takes care of you. So the shepherd really responsible to take care of your needs, whether it be food, whether it be you need a counselor, somebody to talk to bring you in line, to give you direction, to point the way. And if you think about when a shepherd is leading a flock, like thinking about it, like when the shepherd is leading the flock to where they want to graze, he walks ahead of them. So the shepherd walking ahead of the flock really is where the shepherd is really saying, all right, then follow where I am going to ensure that you reach to where the destination where you're supposed to go, where that's the leadership part. When you think about the level of authority that the shepherd has, he is in control, orchestrating everything, and he sees, and the foresight in terms of how things function. He's leading, and he is the one, the shepherd walks with a staff. So if you're going astray, he's able now to bring you in line back to a part of the fold so that you can continue on the path that you're supposed to walk on, to that grazing area where you can get rest, relaxation, refresh yourself, and so on. And then the process continues where the next stage of the journey, he walks with you. So that's the context in which we want to put Jesus Christ as the good shepherd in our minds, and to get that better understanding of what it means and how it works. And the last one we want to look at, number 4, is that the bishop over our lives. Now, this is a religious term, bishop, but is really, a bishop is somebody who is in charge of several persons. So you're thinking about a divisional manager, a director, or a regional manager for a group of companies. So that's the level in terms of talking about a bishop. Somebody is a leader of leaders, to be honest. And you have to think of yourself also as a leader, as a shepherd, who is also responsible for a particular area. You may not be a manager. You may not be On the job, you may not be a manager, however, but you may have some level of responsibility over an area. You are also responsible for your family. If you have a family, in terms of children and so on, you're a parent. Like, you have the area in terms of taking care of others. But no, the person who takes care and look after you is Jesus. He's the bishop of your lives, according to 1 Peter 2, verse 25. So, like, if you think of a leader of leaders, that's like the role. And it says, you are like lost sheep. Now you have come back to the shepherd and bishop of your lives. So the shepherd is also a bishop, if you think about that in terms of, but it's a religious term, bishop, when you think about bishop. But when you even think about the whole idea, the bishop is in terms of a leader, the level of leadership, but is a leader of leaders. That's what the bishop is, the role that he plays, and also in terms of the rank that he carries. So, leader of leaders. So that's why when it talks about the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, like Lord is a landowner. He's a Lord of Lords. So that means all landowners have to answer to Jesus as the shepherd. But when we're thinking about now in terms of what it means for our personal lives, he's the bishop over our lives. We're like lost sheep, meaning we're outside of the fold. We were doing our own thing, and now we have come under the authority of Jesus Christ as our true shepherd, directing our lives going forward. So now we want to end by really asking ourselves the question, in all areas of your life, whether it be your career, your finances, your health, your mental health, over your giftings, your business ideas, yourself as how you direct your appearance. Are you taking guidance and leadership from the Good Shepherd, which is Jesus Christ? Or everything that you're doing is in line with how he wants you to do it in this season, in this time? And are you following the direction that he is leading you in this season? Some things to think about as you go through your week this week. Until we meet again, God bless and one love. And that's our show. Thanks for listening. I release a new episode of this podcast every Tuesday, wherever you listen to your podcast. If you find this information useful, please share this episode with a friend.